Ryan, it's really as we start talking about mindset and we talk about reaching goals, some of us can have all of the desire. We got the dream. We've got the, desire to really do it. But we're not really sure about the steps to get there and what to do. And we feel like this dream is so out of reach. I'm dreaming big. I got a big thing on my vision board. I'm working hard. I'm trying to put the mindset there, but I really cannot see how I'm going to reach it. It's just there. It's just sitting there in terms of moving forward. What's the best way to set goals that are both ambitious but achievable?
So that is really a strong question, and you're asking something that echoes throughout everyone I talk to at some point. I don't know where to start. And so you had mentioned the term board of advisors, and I have your 5 key advisors that everybody needs to have, same thing. But one of them is called the experienced one. You need to attach yourself to somebody that has experience in the exact path or avenue that you're taking. So if you're an entrepreneur building a lawn mowing business, you better be talking to somebody that has a successful or has owned a successful lawn mowing business. And they're going to tell you exactly what steps to take to be successful. If you're going to want somebody that's going to do a advisory based accounting firm, well, you better go talk to somebody that's successfully or has successfully run an advisory based consulting firm. So the thing that you need to do is you need to target and pinpoint somebody that has experience, and then you need to ask them a specific phrase and question. An audience, write this down. You say, when you have a conversation with this person, feel free to take them to lunch. Feel free to sit down with them for just a moment and say, hey, I like the advice you've given me in the past. I admire you and the role and the success that you have accomplished. Would you consider being my mentor, or would you consider being a mentor to me? That is an uncommon phrase and language that we use that will resonate with people big time. And everybody will probably be very humble, be like, well, I don't know if I'm worthy of being a mentor, but you can explain to them that I just want to be able to pick your brain. I just want to be able to reference you. I want you to be able to look at me and say, hey, Johnny, you're doing this right. Or hey, Johnny, you need to make a little correction here. Hey, Sally, if you do this better right here, just keep going, because 1, 2, 3, the dominoes are about to fall in your favor. I was there. I've walked the walk, talked the talk in your position. And if you just keep going, you're about to break through. And that experienced one can give you so much insight, and they will tell you industry specific or lifestyle specific your next step, right? And that's something that people don't recognize, that I literally need to target somebody that has walked in the shoes I'm trying to walk in.
And not look at it as competition, right? In terms of
Correct.
forward as
Correct.
you do it. But one of the things that, as you talk about that, I look at myself and even as a entrepreneur, and thinking about my business and what I'm doing, I also think about the areas of my business. And it's like I'm not going to be an expert at every single thing that we have to do, the accounting, the marketing, the this, the that, all the things you need to do to be successful. I know where my lane is. I know where my talent is. I know where my
Mhm.
lane is. So just as we look at those mentors, we also look at whether it's a coach, somebody who works with us, somebody who's an expert in that area. Allow them to do some of those pieces where that expertise lies, because they're going to do it faster, quicker, and easy because it comes natural to them. It's something they don't have to really work at, right? As you continue to move forward. So I really truly appreciate that, because as I look at myself, I go, you know what? I tell one of my coaches in one area that I'm working in, I'm like, you know what? I'm trying to do X. I admire what you're doing and how you're getting there. And she's like, okay. And I said, but I need your help. I know my lane. I'm over here, not over here. And I need your help to get over there so that I can be successful. So it truly resonates with me, and I appreciate that. But how do you stay motivated and focused when you're working toward long-term goals? It's not just the immediate. We talk about a year, we talk about 3-year goals, 5-year goals, etc. How do you keep that motivation and focus to continue to move in that direction?
I got you. So I am not a fan of motivation. Motivation is temporary. Motivation is a roller coaster ride. Highly motivated today, I don't feel like getting out of bed. Oh, I'm highly motivated, and I don't feel, and motivation is temporary. What you don't need motivation. What you need is discipline. And discipline is that consistency. Discipline is those habits. Discipline is the understanding that today's short term action builds me that path towards the long term success. And so I really try to get people to the excitement is what gets you on the path. The excitement, the passion, the motivation is not what keeps you on the path, right? You need discipline. Whether you're looking at a marriage, we're very excited in the honeymoon phase of marriage, but that's not what keeps you married. It's the discipline you put into your marriage. Your business, it is super exciting to make that first sale and frame your dollar bill behind the cash register saying that this is the first dollar ever sold. That is very exciting. But that is not what keeps you in business when you get a lightning strike on your building and it fries your server. That is not what keeps you in business when COVID closes the doors and you're scratching by. Discipline is what keeps you in the future. So discipline is the development of actionable steps, small actionable steps that can be repeated across the journey. It's the ability to constantly look at today's task, compare it to tomorrow's vision, and make sure that they're in alignment, and then take the next step. The hardest part, like we talked about working out in the before commercial break, last segment, the hardest part of working out every morning is lacing your shoes in the morning. That's the hardest part. Once the shoes are laced and you're on your feet, well, you're going to the gym, you're going to get a workout, right? But getting your feet out of bed and getting those shoes on is the hardest part of any workout. And so discipline is the key. Action plans is the key, and putting them in small, then medium, then long-term goals. Long-term goals, I want to lose 15 pounds in 45 days, right? But in order to do that, I've got to get today's workout in, today's meals under control. I've got to go do the whole week worth of meal prep. So there's my midterm goal, and make sure I eat all those meals and follow up. And I got to avoid the cake at that birthday party, right? And I got to avoid the donuts that somebody just brought into work. And I got to do those small action plans. That's discipline, not motivation.
I love that perspective. And as we start talking, we're talking about long-term goals. And I love that it sounds to me that what you're really saying to us is that you can have a long-term goal, but break it up into sizable chunks that you can digest in
Yep.
terms of that long-term goal, and then make sure every chunk supports the next one in terms of getting where you are. And it's so true, because change happens. That's the only thing we can count on, right? The only
Yep.
thing we know that's going to happen is change. And so we have to be ready to make that change. We have to be ready to make things happen when that change is coming upon us, as we're continuing to move forward. So I definitely love that. I used to always say motivate, nobody can motivate you. Motivation comes from within. And what you're really saying is exactly that motivation from within is being determined. Having that,
Yep.
having that determination and desire, and wanting to move forward in discipline. So I love that discipline. I'm gonna have to use that. I'll give you credit for it, but I got to use it, Ryan. I love it. I love it. So, I really would love to, one of the things that people, as they're listening, talk about, it's great to have all these theories. It's great to have all of these tips and things that are happening. But it doesn't really resonate till I hear something real that I can relate to, that actually happened to you, that you actually went through, that you experienced, that you understand, so that I get a real visibility of what it may look like. I'd love to understand an example of what has helped you to turn a real goal into reality, that when you first started, you thought you would never ever see it. You thought you would never ever get there. And what did you specifically do to achieve it?
So, so that's a tricky question because I try not to set goals towards a vision that I don't think I'm not ever actually going to accomplish. But I will tell you one that got bigger than I thought it would. I knew I was going to be successful because I was going to put these dominoes in order and I was going to knock them over, by golly. Okay. But it got bigger. So we had an opportunity with all of this government changing, all of the PPP, EIDLs, ERTCs, all the loans and all this kind of stuff. That was all brand new, all brand new. accountants like their tax code. We can go back to a book and there's always a checklist and an answer. And this was uncharted territory. And so I was fortunate enough to find myself into the category of Congress passed a new law that was related to taxes. Well, I can read taxes and I can read law from my law enforcement career, my constitutional emphasis bachelor's degree. Well, I can read this faster and better than most people. The attorneys are confused by the tax stuff. Tax people are confused by the law stuff, but I can read both. I read Greek and Hebrew, and I can translate it to English. Let's do this, okay? And so I was able to create videos and content and explain things to our clients. And we didn't even charge a premium. We just charged a very fair value price to, hey, we're going to knock this out for you. We're going to make sure it is in regulation with this. And we're going to create everyone and funnel you through a process to assess your situation and create a best case scenario for you. I knew when I applied that to my client situation, especially with the personnel that I put in place, our clients were going to be successful. We were going to increase revenue. We were going to be successful. But what I didn't realize is that they would tell all their buddies about it. And all of their buddies came knocking at the door, and I had to 3x my employees to go handle all of this stuff, and revenue quadrupled in that time because I knew I was going to be successful, but I didn't know everybody's going to run and tell their friends about us. And so that was a beautiful vision for us, where I set small actionable goals. I said, I need a goal that I can win right now in this week. I'm going to read these 700 pages of law by the end of the week. Boom. Goal number 2. By next week, I'm going to turn all this law into an actionable auto calculator, and I'm going to produce it. Goal 3. Now I'm going to teach 3 people how to use this calculator. Boom. Now we're going to run our first 30 clients, 10 people each, through these calculators. I'm going to review, make sure everything's good. Good. Now floodgates are open. Tell everybody, funnel them through the process. Go. Boom. And we're able to help people save their businesses, save their homes, and save their families during COVID, because they had true, accurate, non-fraudulent access to the funds they were entitled to. And that was a really, really good time for us.
Congratulations. Just think about all the families that you impacted. Congratulations. That's awesome. And Ryan, I appreciate all the tips, all the things that you have shared with the audience today. I really believe that these are things that are going to help all of us business owners, leaders, people in general, because you even talked about what we needed to do personally. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I always enjoy having you, and I got to have more Ryan, so we got to have you back later. But thank you so much for joining us on Ignite. For those of you who are here with us, don't forget to join in next week. We're excited that you came and that you spent time with us, because the one thing we do is always light the fire to keep it burning. See you next time.
This has been a Now Media Networks feature presentation. All rights reserved.